Playgrounds are supposed to be places of joy, laughter, and innocent childhood memories. Yet, sometimes these seemingly safe havens become the backdrop for deeply unsettling experiences that can haunt us well into adulthood. Today, I want to share two disturbing playground horror stories that challenge our perception of these childhood sanctuaries and remind us that danger can lurk in even the most innocuous places. Our first story takes place in a small suburban neighborhood in Michigan. The year was 2008, and 11-year-old Emily had just moved to the area with her family. Like any child in a new neighborhood, Emily was eager to make friends. Her house was conveniently located across from a community park with a modest but well-maintained playground. It quickly became her favorite spot to spend time after school. About 3 weeks after moving in, Emily's parents allowed her to visit the playground alone for the first time. It was a significant milestone in her growing independence. The playground was visible from their living room window, and they established clear rules. Be home before dark, don't talk to strangers, and stay where they could see her. Simple enough, right? For the first few days, everything went perfectly. Emily would spend a couple of hours at the playground, sometimes making temporary friends with other children who came and went. But on this particular Thursday afternoon, something changed. The playground was unusually empty when Emily arrived. This wasn't completely out of the ordinary. It was a school day after all. But there was something different about the atmosphere that day, a stillness that felt unnatural. Emily, being the adventurous child she was, didn't let this deter her. She climbed to the top of the play structure, her favorite spot where she could survey the entire park. That's when she first noticed the man sitting on a bench at the edge of the playground. He wasn't doing anything particularly suspicious, just sitting there, occasionally looking at his phone. But something about him made Emily uncomfortable. Perhaps it was the way he seemed to glance in her direction every few minutes, or how he had positioned himself with a clear view of the entire playground. Emily decided to ignore him and continued playing, swinging from the monkey bars and going down the slide. But each time she looked up, the man was still there, watching. After about 30 minutes, Emily's discomfort grew when she realized the man had moved to a bench closer to the playground, still not doing anything explicitly threatening, but definitely closer. Remembering her parents' warnings about strangers, Emily decided it was time to go home. As she gathered her things and prepared to leave, the man stood up and began walking toward her. Emily's heart raced as she quickly headed toward the park exit. The man picked up his pace. "Hey," he called out. "Wait a second." Emily broke into a run, not looking back. She could hear footsteps behind her, moving faster now. The man was definitely following her. As she reached the park boundary, Emily risked a glance over her shoulder. The man was only about 20 feet behind her, his hand extended as if reaching for her. With a burst of adrenaline, Emily sprinted across the street toward her house, screaming for her parents. Her father, who had been watching from the window, came running out the front door. When the man saw Emily's father, he immediately changed direction and quickly walked away, disappearing around a corner before her father could confront him. The police were called, and Emily provided a description, but the man was never identified. The community was on high alert for weeks afterward, with parents accompanying their children to the playground and neighborhood watch patrols increasing their presence. What makes this story particularly disturbing isn't just the predatory behavior of the stranger, it's how quickly a place of innocence and joy transformed into a site of fear and danger. Emily's parents had done everything right, established clear rules, maintained visibility, and responded immediately when something seemed wrong. Yet, in a matter of minutes, their daughter's safety was threatened in a place they had considered secure. Emily eventually returned to the playground, but only with her parents or in groups. The carefree independence she had briefly enjoyed was tainted by that experience. The playground, once a symbol of freedom, had become associated with vulnerability and fear. It would take years before Emily could visit any playground without scanning for potential threats. This brings us to our second story, which takes place in a rural community in Oregon. This particular playground horror story isn't about a momentary threat, but rather a slow-building nightmare that unfolded over several weeks. The Pioneer Elementary School playground had been a fixture in the community for over 30 years. Generations of children had played on its metal slides and climbed its jungle gym. In the summer of 2015, the school decided to renovate the aging playground, replacing the old equipment with modern, safer alternatives. During the excavation process, construction workers made a disturbing discovery. Buried about 4 feet beneath the sandbox area were several small boxes. Initially, the workers assumed they had uncovered a time capsule, something buried by previous classes. But when they opened the first box, what they found was far more sinister. Inside were dozens of small personal items: hair ribbons, a child's bracelet, a small toy car, fragments of clothing. Items that, on their own, might seem innocuous, but collected together and deliberately buried, created an immediate sense of wrongness. The police were called, and as they continued to excavate the area, they found a total of 7 boxes, each containing similar collections of children's belongings. Forensic analysis revealed that the items dated back to the mid-1990s through the early 2000s. Most disturbing of all, some of the items matched descriptions of belongings that had gone missing with children in several unsolved disappearance cases across 3 neighboring counties during that time period. As the investigation unfolded, authorities began to piece together a chilling theory. Someone, possibly a school employee with regular access to the playground, had been collecting trophies from children for years, burying them beneath the very place where children played every day. The thought that a predator had been operating in plain sight, interacting with children daily, while secretly collecting these disturbing souvenirs, sent shockwaves through the community. Parents were horrified to learn that their children had been playing directly above what amounted to a cache of evidence, potentially linked to child abductions. The school closed temporarily as the investigation continued, and psychological support was offered to students, parents, and staff. The renovation was put on hold indefinitely. What makes this story particularly disturbing is the violation of trust on multiple levels. A school playground represents one of the most fundamentally protected spaces in a community, a place where children should be safe under the watchful eyes of trusted adults. The discovery suggested that someone had systematically exploited that trust, using the playground not just as a hunting ground, but as a repository for twisted mementos. The investigation ultimately led to the arrest of a former maintenance worker who had been employed by the school district from 1993 to 2007. DNA evidence from some of the buried items connected him to at least 3 missing children cases. During the subsequent trial, it emerged that he had specifically requested to work at schools with playgrounds, often volunteering for sandbox maintenance and equipment repairs, tasks that would give him legitimate reasons to dig in the playground area. The Pioneer Elementary case fundamentally changed how the community viewed school security. Background checks became more thorough, maintenance work was always supervised, and playground areas were regularly inspected. Parents who had once sent their children to school without a second thought now found themselves struggling with anxiety and hypervigilance. Perhaps the most insidious aspect of both these stories is how they transform ordinary places into sources of fear. Playgrounds exist specifically for children's enjoyment and development. They're designed as safe spaces where imagination and physical activity can flourish. When these spaces become associated with danger or trauma, something fundamental is lost. Children's natural inclination toward exploration and play becomes tempered by caution and suspicion. These stories also highlight a painful paradox of childhood. The very independence that children need to develop confidence and self-reliance can also expose them to risk. Parents face the impossible task of protecting their children while also allowing them the freedom to grow. There are no perfect solutions to this dilemma, only careful balancing acts and constant vigilance. Beyond the immediate horror of these incidents lies a deeper disturbance, the realization that childhood spaces are not inherently protected from the darker aspects of human behavior. The playground, with its bright colors and cheerful equipment, creates an illusion of safety that can be shattered in an instant. But there's another perspective worth considering. In both cases, these incidents led to increased community awareness and improved safety measures. Emily's experience prompted neighborhood watch programs and greater parental involvement. The Pioneer Elementary discovery led to enhanced background checks and security protocols. While we can never completely eliminate risk, these responses represent the community's determination to reclaim these spaces and protect their children.